Am I live? I think I'm live. I am live. Yay! Welcome to our bonus class today on human design. If you joined me for our live Soul Shift cuff sale, then you've already seen me for about 2 hours today. But if you didn't join us live for that, for whatever reason, I want to say hi to you. I'm glad that you're here. I hope you really enjoy today's bonus class. I'm offering this class partly because due to, global issues affecting our teams in India and China, our tools for this month were a little delayed. So I wanted to give you a class this week to kind of give you something juicy to sink your teeth into before we officially start our classes. I want to reinforce that your tools are not going to be delayed in April or May, and our schedule is going to get back to a very sort of regimented, regular schedule. I appreciate your patience. We literally had our team in India experiencing gun violence outside their homes, and they couldn't go to work, and our team in China was quarantined because of the coronavirus and couldn't go to work. So we've been kind of through it with our global family. These are people that we really love and know, and so we try to take really good care of them and make sure that their safety comes first. Thank you for your patience, by the way. I'm so happy to see you. I'm very happy to see you. Okay, so one thing I wanted to tell you before we talk about human design is there have been some interesting conversations happening in our Soul Shift Facebook group, and I want to talk about it for a few minutes and give you sort of my take on it, especially because you may not be in the Facebook group. We have quite a few Soul Shift members who aren't on Facebook, and so some of this doesn't even really apply to you, although I think the learning is still relevant. Some of you don't see every single post that I make or other people make in the group, and so I wanted to make sure, while I kind of had the collective together, I wanted to address some of the challenges and concerns that have come up, because it is rich with learning. It is absolutely rich with learning. And so I have a couple things I want to share with you. I made some notes too, just so I wouldn't forget. These are little notes that I made myself last night. It's good. Well, here's the thing. I mean, Facebook is a beautiful place. One of you had posted about how the full moon group is kind of a tough Facebook group to be in. And I will tell you, the full moon group is the most challenging Facebook group of all of the Sage Goddess groups. I don't necessarily even recommend that you go there. I mean, it's a big group. It's like 100 and something thousand people. It's the first Facebook group I ever made. It's a public group. And so I don't want you to compare your experience in the Sage Goddess Full Moon Ritualist group with your experience in Soul Shift. And as an empath, what I tell a lot of my community is, if you want to be in the public groups, that's great. It might be overwhelming. I actually have team members who moderate our public groups, and that's their full-time job. And even though it's full-time job, they can't keep up with everything. So I want to encourage you, decide what is best for you. I spend most of my time in Soul Shift and Crystal Masters. I'm in the other groups too, but less so. I mean, the perfumery group is a super fun group. I really enjoy being in the perfumery group. It's I find it to be kind of a diverse and very engaged and very knowledgeable community about essential oils and things. So I enjoy the perfumery group a lot. I enjoy Gem Haven too. But again, it's a public group. It's a big community. So if you go in there and you expect anything similar to what you would see in our private groups, I think you're going to have a really different experience. And so I want to encourage you. My number one thing for you is, right? Yeah, Crystal Masters and Soul Shift are member programs. Those are member groups. Like I said, I have dozens of members in programs who never go into the Facebook groups. They are there to learn from me, attend class, read their online materials. They do not want any part of Facebook interaction, and I respect it. And so that's also an option to you. I mean, if you find the Facebook engagement too overwhelming, then you can always join the ranks of students who don't participate in Facebook. They find that my online content and the class sessions that we have is enough for them, and they're not looking for anything else. That's another way to experience your learning, right? My t-shirt, it's, the sacred snake and the sacred knot with all the moon phases. This was a gift. I think it's so beautiful. So thank you for noticing it. So anyway, that's one way to go. Now, here's what I want to tell you in general. The Soul Shift and the Crystal Masters Facebook groups are where members join, right? When they're coming into programs and they want to participate in a smaller community. By the way, I think she got this on Etsy. So you can always look on Etsy. And if you really like it, I'll try and find the link for it to share it with you, because it is kind of cute, isn't it? It's kind of our style. I'm not making that much clothing anymore these days, but I'm happy to link you to other artists who are, because I think it's really cool when we can support, especially Etsy shops. I still shop on Etsy a lot, and I love to support Etsy sellers, especially because Etsy's such a tough place to sell anything anyway. They take all your fees, and they're difficult to work with. So I try to give as much business as I can to other Etsy shops to support them, because it's not easy. Did you hear that? Somebody had to stop kind of fast. Hope they're okay. Anyway, okay. Was that your cat? I love it, Cecilia. I know. Well, so Sylvia's thinking about leaving Etsy. I almost left Etsy a couple of months ago, and then I decided I took almost all my products off Etsy. Etsy doesn't want anybody metaphysical on their site. They don't want you talking about metaphysical things. They don't want you talking about healing. They don't want any of that. They want all the descriptions. So I took all my products, I completely scrubbed them of all metaphysical descriptions and just left the basics there. I'm grateful that I got my start on Etsy, but they're really not supportive. And the fees, what they're doing, I mean, I don't even want to get into it, but what they're doing with ads and fees and things is really, really not great. Yeah, you can't talk about anything metaphysical on Etsy at all. You can't talk about healing at all. I know, it's crazy. So what I wanted to say about the Facebook and the Soul Shift and the Crystal Masters groups is this. Every time a new year starts, some people leave and some people come into the group, and the dynamic changes. I used to teach human interpersonal relations and what they call human dynamics, or group dynamics, which is really just interpersonal psychology. And every time a group sort of disbands and comes back together, the dynamics are by definition altered, right? Because people make a difference, and some people leaving and new people coming in. And even if it's very little change in a group, there still has to be a re-articulation of what those norms and boundaries and everything is. So as a teacher, I hold space for that, because I know it takes 2, 3, 4, sometimes 6 months to really congeal and figure out what the dynamic is. Some people don't have a lot of experience going in and out of groups. So when the dynamics change, they get very unnerved, right? Like, ooh, this feels different. I don't know. There's some different people. What's happening, right? It really can make people feel very anxious. When you have that dynamic on top of the social anxiety that's happening right now, which is either conscious or subconscious. I mean, I'm really teaching you psychology right now, but that's what you need to know. So you have already sort of like concerns about being in a community that might be shifting, and then you have social anxiety about politics or coronavirus or whatever else. No matter how much it's conscious or subconscious, there's a little bit of low-grade anxiety happening right now. It's really important. Remember that this year we are focused on priestessing. And the hardest part of my job, truly, if you want to know the reality of it, I never have a moment where I find my job to be difficult, except, okay, when it comes to standing still. When things are trying to pull me this way and things are trying to pull me that way, the only time I find my job hard is when I have to really sit in my sovereignty, sit in the center, not judge, not react, not overreact, not underreact, not assume or expect or project or any of that. When I have to just sit and allow undercurrents and the undertow to sort of come through and wash over me and allow things to unfold, when I have to tolerate ambiguity, that's the hardest part of the work that I do. But I'm going to tell you something, okay? Sometimes it's all I do. People don't come to me, and I'm saying this in a priestessing role, people don't come to me when their life is great. People usually find me when their life is coming apart in some way. They're grieving, they've experienced loss, they are challenged in some way, they're facing a health issue, that's when people start to reach out and explore and expand and really start to develop their spirituality. And so what I have learned is my job is to show up for people, to support them, and to welcome them as they are. It's not my job to say, when you're all fixed, we can hang out. When you've sorted that through, I can hold space for you. When you're well, we can be friends. If I even intimated that, that's not my job. My job is to say, and I can take that, and I can take that, and I can take that. And oh, that over there, I've got that over here. And the reason I'm able to hold all of that is I know that whatever I'm giving people isn't me. It's not Athena. I am a channel for a higher frequency. So I'm not saying, yeah, give me that illness, or give me that sadness, or give me that grief. I'm not saying I can fix it all. I'm saying I can hold the space for it because I know it's not mine, and because I know how to channel an energy that will allow me to hold space. So there's nothing that any one of you will ever come to me and say you're going through, or you're experiencing, or you're holding right now, that I would say, oh, whoa, you know what? That's too much. Sorry, but you kind of crossed the line. Now, most people in our lives do say that, okay? I mean, I've had a lot of friends say, when I got diagnosed with MS, I actually had one friend say to me, who's not my friend anymore, say to me, you know what? I've kind of got a lot going on right now. I don't know if I can manage what you've got on top of what I've got. And I remember thinking to myself, you know what? At least she's honest, right? She can't handle me going through an illness on top of having newborns and all the other things that she's got going on. It's never too much for me, Tammy, because I'm not holding it. I know I'm not responsible for it. And I don't have to fix, change, or solve it. So whatever you bring to me, you say, oh, but and people say all the time, like, you know what, Athena, I am going to overwhelm you. I'm going to be the first person who tells you something that you can't hold. And I'm always like, really? Because I'm not here to fix, change, or solve it. I'm just here to say, I see you. I can't fix this for you. I can't change this for you. I can't solve this for you. But I can hold that while you go through your process. And one of the reasons I'm so committed to this, you guys, is because I've been in the position of having somebody say, I can't be your friend through that. I can't hold that. It's too much for me. And I remember thinking to myself in those rare instances, like, I wish there was somebody who didn't feel like they had to fix, change, or solve me, who could just be my friend, who could just, like, put their arm around me but not feel like they're personally responsible for what I'm going through. Not everybody is here to do that. Again, I don't judge that woman who, like I said, couldn't, right? That's not what she signed up for. That's not what she said she was going to do. You know what I mean? She's not here in a spiritual capacity as a teacher or a leader. At the time, she was just a mom who was overwhelmed. And I didn't judge her for it, and I still don't. I'm sad about it because I was sad to lose the friendship. But I also knew I couldn't really bring stuff to her if I knew it was too much for her. I couldn't tell her what I was going through. Okay, it was overwhelming for her. I assume that you guys are here to learn how to do what I'm talking about, which is, it doesn't matter what somebody posts. It doesn't matter what they're going through. Now, we put a little cushion thing so that if you see that and you're like, I really don't want to handle anybody's anything, you can scroll by. And I hashtag everything SGAP. So if you don't even want to see anybody else's anything, you can just look for my hashtag, search for it, right? You don't have to see anything else in the group if you don't want to. But I think part of the training is, well, it's true. And Carolyn's saying that she does have a limit, right? She said until her closest friend did something that she couldn't live with. I haven't found that place yet. I haven't had anybody bring anything to me yet where it was like I couldn't, because again, I literally really don't, it filters through. It filters through because I don't feel like I'm responsible for what you're doing. I feel like I'm here to support you and here to witness you. I'm here to offer you some inspiration and some joy and some wisdom, but I'm pretty clear about what my role is. Do you know what I mean? And it's not dysfunctional. If I was telling you I could fix it, change it, or solve it, that's dysfunctional. But I'm telling you I can give you some tools, and if you employ them, you're gonna shift, and then you may not need me as much because you'll have the tools you need to now offer this to yourself. Now, community is nice, but I mean, once you figure this out, you kind of have your groove, right? The goal of all good teachers is that eventually you won't need them. If I'm really successful before I retire, once I'm retired, you won't need me. You'll have everything that I know, you'll have everything that I've done, and it would probably be nice to see me and have tea with me, but you won't really need me teaching you anymore, right? Like, the goal is to get you to the point where you don't need it. So my wisdom to you tonight, I'm going to give you these, and then I'm going to change to human design. But I really wanted to share this with you because, there are people who are like, well, if somebody has a problem, they should put it in the prayer group. I have to say, I disagree. If you have a problem, I think you should be able to process it in our Facebook group. And if it's really hard for you to see other people having problems, then please keep scrolling. Just don't take it in. Look for the hashtags, get what you need, hop out. I won't judge you. But I think we have to be able to process, because that's integration. If I'm teaching you something and then all of a sudden you have an issue and you need to talk about it, I don't want to send you to a group where your post is just going to get lost, or there's going to be people who don't know what we've learned giving you feedback and perspective. I don't think that's what you need. I will also tell you this, and I'm just sort of this is Honey Badger me telling you straight up how I feel. I honestly really feel like you should be able to come and pretty much say what you need to say in the group, and as long as you say cushion or whatever else, that gives people the freedom to keep moving. But I really think that most of us are here to show up for each other, and you're not going to feel closer to people in the group until there's intimacy. Until people have said, the whole reason that you feel close to me is because I tell you about the hard shit. I don't hide it from you, right? My kids are having an issue, or, Zoe almost died a couple of years ago, and I shared that with our community. They saw me through that process. Or me having a, incurable disease, or sometimes feeling stressed out. If I didn't share those things with you, you wouldn't really feel like you know me, and we wouldn't have this intimacy. But because I don't censor that stuff, and I'm not gonna censor it. If I'm going through something, I'm gonna bring it here. I don't expect you to fix it or change it. But it'd be really nice if you could witness me, and in exchange, when you're going through something really hard, I'm gonna witness you and tell you I see you. And this is important to me, okay? Nobody really, here's the thing. I've learned this through years of every kind of work that I've done. Nobody really wants anybody else to solve anything for them. Nobody really wants that. They just want to be seen. People just want to be seen. And in our world right now, there's very few places where you can go and be seen by anyone who has the capacity to really see you. It's rare. And so my final message to you on this note is appreciate this space that we have. It is unique. I sign up, it probably would make you laugh. I sign up for other people's classes all the time. All the time. I don't tell them I do, but I sign up for their stuff and I take it. All the people who are big in our community and big in our world, I've signed up for their classes before. They aren't creating spaces where you can come and just let it all hang out and just be yourself. The groups are uptight and people aren't really sharing, and it's not really or the teacher isn't really there, or you know what I mean? I think it's time to kind of recenter and recognize what we have is really special. And I really am in this with you. I'm in it for the hard parts, and I'm in it for the easy parts. I almost look at it like a marriage. I'm not going to leave you when you're having a hard time, and I'm going to celebrate with you when you're having an easy time. And when you're doing something that I think is off course, I'm going to give you my opinion and say, hey, you know what? I don't agree with that, and here's why. And you can take it or leave it, because I'm not going to judge you for it. But try not to let everything fluster you. Try to let things move through you and try to appreciate there are very few really authentic communities out there. And even though we're in a transition place, okay, well, and thank you, Candace. I mean, Candace is one of the people who helped us think through what was happening too, and Michelle, and a lot of you who posted, right? It's like, this is my best thinking for you. This was everything. I sat down last night right before I went to bed and I wrote all these little things I wanted to tell you. And it was everything I just told you. We have something special, and it's only special because you're there, and it's only special because we're pretty honest with each other. And I will not judge you. I won't, even if you came to me and said, you know what, Athena, I don't like anything about you, and I think everything you teach is really stupid, and I don't enjoy this, I still would respect you. I'd be like, well, that sucks, you know. But okay, I mean, I'm not here to impress you. I'm not here to fix you. I'm just here to be a source of support, some wisdom, some inspiration. I don't have all the answers. But you also have to bring, don't make me cry, Tara Tryon. You're crying, I'm not crying. Thank you for that, Pagan OB. I appreciate you. Listen, do you have a perfect family? Because mine's pretty fucked up. I mean, if you came to a nice Christmas meal or a Thanksgiving meal, it's pretty dysfunctional at certain points. This person's not speaking to that person, and oh, you shouldn't talk about this. And I mean, do you have a really functional family? If you do, congratulations. Most families have a little bit of weirdness, and it's going to get weird here too. And if you can't sit with that, priestessing is going to be the hardest thing you ever did, because everything I do as a priestess is weird. It's weird. It's not easy. I'm sitting in uncomfortable places. I'm sitting with uncomfortable energies. I mean, honestly, it's like having Christmas dinner almost every day. Right? Uncle Carl, it gets weird, right? There's Carl being weird again. I mean, I've learned to laugh at it, which is how I survive. But and I will always try to make you laugh too. But come on now. We're weird, but we're also awesome. And the people in this group, and I'm talking to you, are magical, powerful. A lot of you will be doing this work long after I've stopped doing it. A lot of you are the next generation of what this work is going to be. I bow to you. I appreciate you. Okay. But I'm just telling you, if you want it to be neat and tidy and clean and orderly and everybody's behaving and nobody's fucked up or weird, I honestly wouldn't even know where to point you, except to some like sanitized, weird Facebook group where nobody shares anything. And I don't think that's what you're looking for. Or the fucking full moon ritualist group, which is like a weird shit show of stuff. I mean, God love them, but it gets, I mean, you want to talk about weird and dysfunctional and judgmental? Like, sometimes I go in there and my poor team is doing their best, but it's weird. So thank you for letting me share all of this with you. There's no manual for what I'm trying to do in this world. There is absolutely no manual for what I'm trying to do. And I'm not always great at it, and I do my best, and it is what it is. But I also know what I don't want to have, which is sanitized, fake, judgmental relationships with you. I'm not interested in that. You can find that anywhere you want. You want judgment? I can send you to 20 other groups where you'll find all the judgment you want. Go into full moon. I love you. I really do. I mean, it is, and I will accept you under any circumstances. And that is the honest truth. And the price of that is that I also need you to kind of accept everybody else on those circumstances too. Because if you really are here to show up and be a healer, being a healer is not sexy, it's not powerful, it doesn't feed your ego. Half the time being a healer means feeling like shit, like you can't do it all, like you can't, like you're not, nothing's ever enough, right? Like Healers always feel inadequate, and you know, like there's just always this sense of like, wish I could do more, I wish I could be more, I wish I could hold more. But we're also held to a higher standard. So just know when you're struggling, I'm struggling too, and we can see each other in that struggle and commit to working our way through this, because our planet does not have time for us to do anything other than what we're doing. Amen. Aho. So it is. And that's the shift. And if you think you're not learning right now, holy, holy, holy. If you think that every single thing that happens in this group isn't a big old lesson for you, oh my God. This is it. But I'm telling you why this happens. Do you know why this happens? So that when you go to South America and you sit in ceremony with 100 other people, you know how to keep your shit together and hold your space. So that when you go and you mentor a group of 15 women or 30 women or 100 men or whatever it is, so that you know how to hold your space. This is happening for you because no matter where you take this work from here, and again, long after I'm done doing it, you will remember these moments and say, you know what? When a group is new, they have to find their groove. And it takes a little while. And now I know, because I've been through this a couple of times. So let the dust settle, let everybody find their seats, and then we'll start to find our rhythm and our cadence and our motion, right? But you have to learn that by experiencing it. If I taught that to you as a theory, you wouldn't remember it. So the universe is smart. It makes you learn it by experiencing it, right? How true is it, Rochelle? How many circles, right? Medicine circles. Are you riding an uncomfortable wave? I mean, Rochelle will tell you, right? Holy shit. You don't know what's going to come up at a medicine circle. It could be something from somebody's 7th generation back ancestor that's coming up. You can't prepare for that. So how are you going to hold the space? And then, that's right, and then Athena Max said, and then we all cry when the container gets released in December. And you will cry in December when this container gets released. And then in January, you're going to be like, you're almost going to say, it's weird, it's weird, it's weird. And then you're going to go, it's going to be weird probably till April. And then we'll find our groove. Are you asking me, Summer to the Void, if I've been a fairy before? I don't know if I've been a fairy. I've been some weird shit before, but I don't know if I've been a fairy. I am very small, though, but I think it's because my mom smoked when she was pregnant with me. That's my theory, anyway, about why I'm so short. Anyway. Human design. I'm reading all your comments, too. No, you will. And next year you'll be like, settle down, everybody. This is what happens in January and February and March until we figure this shit out, and then we're fine. You guys crack me up. I am really small. The first thing people say when they meet me is they go, you're so small. It's always like, yeah, I really am small. That's right. All right, you guys. Well, cheers and thank you. And thank you to all of you who shared your thoughts in the group. I so appreciate you and respect you and love your input. And of course it can, Candace. I mean, here's the other piece you have to know. And I mean, in service of full disclosure, and I'm not saying this from an ego place. Please know that. Honestly, I had no idea this was really happening until a couple of years into my teaching. It's not always me teaching you. There's a meta narrative in my classes. That's why it doesn't matter whether you show up for class or not. You're still going to shift. It doesn't matter whether you're on time. It doesn't matter whether you ever read what's on the website. It doesn't even matter if you listen to what I'm telling you right now, because I'm also telling you something else at the same time. I mean, that is what interdimensional learning is all about. That's what shamanic learning is all about. There's the narrative, and then there's a meta-narrative. And so I can't control everything that's happening here. I have an intention for the highest good, and I open a solid container. Other than that, weird shit's going to happen to you while you're in this class. Sorry, not sorry. Although most people are down for the ride, so I think that's I'm teaching you all kinds of things without teaching you those things. Yeah, it's happening on a lot of levels. Woo, all the time. All right, Alexis, can you bring me a lighter? I wanted to smudge really quick, and I don't have any fire. Sage got no fire. Thank you for that, Sparrow. Well, I mean, I trust that it's accurate. But that's why when they tell me, oh, you're doing this in a journey. Okay, well, that's what I'm doing in a journey. I don't know. I just work here. But I don't have an ego about it either. If you have a great experience in this class at the end of the year, you're going to be like, oh, thank you, Athena. And I'm going to go, I didn't do anything. Except show up and try to pay attention.
I bring the heat wherever I go.
I bought myself 24 lighters last night.
Good.
I did.
Because they always disappear.
They disappear. People take them.
People take them. This should be the one place that they should not be taking their lighters from.
Well, I'm going to start, it's BYO lighter now. Seriously. I literally bought myself lighters on Amazon last night. I was like, this is just some BS. How can I do this with no lighters? I appreciate it, but I really don't take much credit. For the last 2 years, everything I've been teaching you came from ayahuasca. So I trust it, because she's very accurate. I was supposed to be on medicine tomorrow, but had to push it. So I won't be working with her again until June. All right, sage, here we go. So a little bit of white sage for you. I mean, this conversation was really good because I think we clear a little bit of the air, and it's so natural and it's so normal, right? Anxiety is a natural and normal emotion. We shouldn't try to repress it. We shouldn't try to deny it. We shouldn't try to ignore it. Anxiety is a natural, normal emotion, but it's what you do with that anxiety that matters. Do you indulge it? Do you stoke it? Do you legitimize it? Do you facilitate it, or do you dialogue with it and then release it? You are going to feel anxiety. You're human. And fear is a driver, but it's what you do with that fear that matters. Okay. Aho. I love you guys. I don't know if there's a best moon phase for Aya. I really didn't want to do Aya again this year. She started talking to me again. I was like, wow. But I'm doing her differently. The way I've been doing her, working with her, is I sensed that was supposed to change. And so then I told my shaman, and he was like, yeah, sounds good. Let's do it a different way. So we'll see. I love you guys. I don't know. Honestly, I just bought shitty lighters on Amazon. They're not even nice or pretty, but they're functional and they burn things. And right now, that's all I needed. Okay, human design. Thank you, Candace. I love you too. Ayahuasca is the hardest thing I do. I don't look forward to it. I honestly, up until the minute it starts, I absolutely dread it. And then it's always beautiful. But it is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. That's why when people are like, I want to do ayahuasca, I'm like, okay. You can't take plant medicine on medication, in particular if you have blood pressure issues or if you're on SSRIs, which are the serotonin receptor, whatever, because it will cause a stroke. Ayahuasca naturally increases your blood pressure, and so if you're on any of those medications, it can cause real problems. It's actually quite terrifying. I know. You drink it. You got to do it in one shot because it doesn't taste good. So and I drink 2 to 3 times. Usually twice. Yeah. Can I spell it? What are you asking me to spell? Anyway. System biologics, do you mean immunosuppressant drugs? Because I'm on Tysabri for MS, and it does not cause any interference. So it doesn't. If you're on an immunomodulator, it's not necessarily going to impact it. It's more blood pressure medication, any kind of cardiac medication, and then the SSRIs for you can't be on antidepressants or anticonvulsants. Yeah, ayahuasca, Ayahuasca, which means the spirit of the vine. Yeah, you can't be on antidepressants or any kind of anti-anxiety medication. The Aya with mushrooms, which some people call MAA, which is MAA, mushrooms and ayahuasca, is partly synthetic, and so I can't take anything synthetic. I can't do any kind of synthetic drugs at all because I'm allergic to them. So I can't do anything that has any kind of synthetic ingredient. Yeah. Yeah, so in seizure medication, you know, I mean, it's what I always tell people is like, this is my education on it anyway, but it's just, I always tell people to be very, very careful. San Pedro is beautiful. It's grandfather medicine, where ayahuasca is grandmother medicine. San Pedro is beautiful, beautiful, and so gentle and much easier than ayahuasca. Are you really allergic to Tysabri? I'm so grateful I'm not. It's the best medication in the world, in my opinion. But anyway, do breath work. Peyote's different. Yeah, just be careful. Really make sure before you ever do anything that you find a person to work with who is legit and who connects you with a doctor first before you do anything. Everybody I work with connects you with an MD first to check everything before you do anything. Be very, very, very careful. Be very careful. I don't know about the thyroid medication. Honestly, drums are all you need. Drums and your breath. That'll get you where you need to go. I do the other medicines because it helps me as a teacher. It gets past my subconscious mind and helps me see what I'm supposed to be sharing with the world. And it also shows me the pain that my community experiences. I spend at least 2 hours journeying for the public when I'm doing plant medicine, and it's painful because I have to experience your pain and her pain and his pain, but it gives me a sense of what I'm doing. Everything that I'm talking about right now is Scheduled 1, and so you have to find a safe place to do it, and that's very difficult to do in the United States. If you go outside of the U.S., you can find places where it is legal. It is legal in the U.S. if they have church status. And so that's the best way to find these plant medicines. If they have a 501c3 and they are considered a church, then they can offer plant medicine legally. Yeah, breath work is fantastic. Why not? Do you know what I mean? It's mind altering. It's intense. I agree with you, Lynette and Sarah Lucas and Myri. I agree. Breath work is the most beautiful thing. But yeah, I can't do anything synthetic. My system completely rejects it, and I get very ill. Okay, on to human design. Fun to talk about, though, isn't it? But when people tell me they love doing plant medicine, I'm always like, you love it? Because I look at it like the hardest thing I do the whole year. So when people are telling me, oh, I just love it, I'm always like, wow, you must be having a much more fun time than I am. Okay. Let's start at the beginning. So I'm going to tell you a couple things. First of all, I am not a human design. Yes, there's a great, in Colorado, there's an amazing breathwork teacher, Julia Mick. Please find her on Facebook. JuliaMickk. She was my original breathwork teacher. She's amazing, and she lives in Boulder, I believe. And if you can get into a session with her, it's very expensive. I mean, it's either like $400 or $800 a session or something like that. But save up, do it. She's the best of the best of the best, and she will make you fly. So find Julia Mick. Sometimes she goes to Sedona. If you see her and spend time with her, tell her Athena said hi. I think she's absolutely magnificent, and I would refer you to her over and over again. Love Julia Mick. Okay. She's expensive, but she's worth it. Yeah. Okay. I am not a human design expert. This is not my area of expertise. I did not create the human design system. I'm going to give you an introduction tonight to human design. I'm going to whet your appetite, and then if you love it, if you're super into it, I will tell you that you can fall down so many rabbit holes, because what you have to know about human design is it's based on the chakra system, on I Ching, on Western astrology, and it's integrative of all these different systems. It's based on, so your type, and Alexis can link to a website, by the way, where you can find your type. We posted this in the Facebook group too, but in case you missed it, it's super easy. You just almost like you're pulling up your birth chart, except instead of your birth chart, it's going to pull up your human design type and what's called your body graph. I'm not going to teach you tonight to read your body graph. That would take me, we'd have to do a half day like seminar. And honestly, I'm probably not even the right person to lead you through that. I will tell you, if you start finding experts to do your chart and everything, it gets very expensive. So I would encourage you to find out as much as you can by watching videos or reading books, because there are people who charge a lot of money to run your individual chart. And I don't know how much you're going to get out of it that you wouldn't get from just reading. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of sort of widely collected information out there. The reason I introduced you to this is it's one more door to unlock to understand yourself better. And part of my perspective, especially when it comes to spiritual development, and there's quite a few books, there's quite a few places to go online and learn. There are a few teachers on YouTube who are halfway decent. Some of the folks who are out there talking about human design, though, sound like they're nuts. I mean, it's almost like everything else. Like, you can find great astrology teachers, and you can find astrology teachers who are like, you can barely understand what they're saying. So you got to kind of like scope it out and figure out who you resonate with and who you might want to work with to have your chart done if you wish to do that. The system was channeled in 1987 by Ra Uru Hu. And Ra said that it's an interesting story actually, that this voice came to him. I'm sure he was probably working with plant medicine or something. This voice came to him and revealed to him these sort of basic archetypes or profiles, and that each profile has its own kind of wisdom, its own purpose, its own expression, and then it also, each archetype has its own place that it goes when it's blocked. And that's what I want to talk about and focus on the most tonight, is I want to talk about what type you are, and then when you're at your best, how do you show up, and when you're blocked, what happens to you. And then I want to talk about how these types interact. I did an exercise. I had the senior folks at Sage Goddess, my head of production who manages your orders, who's an amazing human being. They're all amazing. Head of product, head of marketing. Alexis Tookett, who's really our lead social community manager. And of course, I'm a generator. And it was really interesting because we had 2 projectors, and the rest are generators or manifesting generators, including my husband. My kids are, Zoe is a manifester, and Nick is a projector. So I'm a generator. My husband's a manifesting generator, and we gave birth to a reflector and a projector. It has caused more conflict in the parenting relationship than I can even express to you, because Dave and I never shut off. I mean, I'm sure you can tell. Like, we are even like in social media, responding to emails 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock in the morning, right? Saturdays, Sundays. I don't see, generators tend not to see their work as a job. They tend to see what they do in the world as their life. And so they don't have a lot of like boundaries, right? Like, it's not like, oh, well, it's after 6, so you're gonna have to wait. I don't really have that attitude, and he doesn't either. So he and I have always gelled like that. My son is a projector. Projectors aren't really here to work. That's the big, like, aha moment for projectors. They're here to create, they're here to guide, they're here to inspire, but you expect a projector to work almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for decades? You're going to end up with a bitter person who's burned out, who's sour in a relationship. They can do it for a little while, okay? But then they hit a wall. And once that wall goes up, it's like you can't even get through it. So here are Dave and I as parents. I'm giving you this example to kind of show you, and then I'll go through more detail. Here's Dave and I as parents, right? generators, right? Just manifesting generators. Boom, boom, boom. Let's do this. I'm on it. Let's go. I don't need a day off or whatever. And here's our kids going, I don't want to leave the house. I don't want to have sports every day. I can't do homework Monday through Friday. And we're like, what do you mean, right? This happens in relationships all the time. And so what I love about human design is it gives you a way of understanding that people in your life are different than you. And just because you can go, do, work like I can, doesn't mean that your partner can, or your kid can, or your sibling can, or your employee can, or your boss can, right? And so it's really important. And here's the thing. We need generators, and manifesting generators need projectors and reflectors because they fulfill very important and specific roles in life. And so we need them. We need them for joy. We need them for inspiration. We need them for lightheartedness. We need them in order to understand ourselves. Because reflectors are mirroring back to us all the time, like who we are and what we know, what we do, right? And they teach us how to show up in an authentic and real way, and how to create balance, and how to have a life. I mean, honestly, if it was just Dave and me, and it was just us for a long time before we had kids, like, we would end up working all weekend, every weekend. And we weren't complaining about it. We'd have a glass of wine while we did it, and we'd work together next to each other on our laptops. But, in our society, you look at people like me and you look at people like Dave and you think, oh, those are ladder climbers, right? Like, we were always working and we were always getting promoted, and, like, you know what I mean? We were just always, but our work was our life, and that's what we thought life was about. And if you have a projector or reflector, it's not going to be that way, and it can lead to burnout. Now, Candace is bringing up an interesting thing. Generators and manifesting generators can get burned out, and I will tell you how. If they aren't doing, if everything they're doing isn't aligned to their soul purpose. What I'm going to give you today is a little bit of the spiritual take on some of this, you guys, because it's not really, from my perspective, a deeply spiritual model. I think there's a little bit of like extra that I'm going to offer to you that helps you understand the reality, or the way in which the types create their own balance, because they really, really do. And it totally makes sense to me that manifestors and manifesting generators attract reflectors and projectors. Because otherwise, you would just literally go through life just doing, and you would never stop. You wouldn't reflect. You wouldn't think about your practice. You wouldn't take time for art and inspiration. You wouldn't, you know what I mean? You would just, I would just keep going and going and going and going. So if you end up with a partner who's just like you, the universe winks at you and gives you kids who are the exact opposites, which is what the universe did with me. Does that make sense? Do you guys have any questions right now? I'm reading the feed a little bit just to make sure I'm on. No, and I will tell you, literally at least once a day, somebody in social media or somewhere asks me, how do you do this? How do you work all the time? How do you constantly have new products in your shop? How do you teach all the time? How are you online all the time? How do you go live every day? And it's like, I don't know how not to do it. It isn't taxing for me, because this is what I love to do, and this is why I think I'm on the planet. But if I didn't love this, I would be exhausted. You would never see me or hear from me. If this was like a real job where I wasn't into it, or it wasn't connected to my sacral, like my creativity, this would have lasted a month or two. And so one of the reasons you see people, right, who start things and they don't finish it, they open an Etsy shop, but they don't do anything with it. They start a coaching business or consulting business, and then they drop it. They may be generators and manifesting generators, but that's not what they want to do. And so they're going to procrastinate. They're going to stop. They're going to interrupt it. They're going to switch gears. They're going to keep reinventing because they can't find what it is that they specifically want to do. Everything for a generator and a manifesting generator has to be at their core what they believe in. And the minute it becomes a job or something they don't believe in. Yeah, so let's talk about manifesting generators versus generators. Let's start with, if it's okay with you, I'm going to kind of go through my list and we'll cover everybody. So I'm going to start with projectors. By the way, the Kabbalah is also included in here. If you look at the body graphs, it has the Kabbalah tree of life. So that's why I'm saying it's such an inclusive system. I have no doubt that his spirit guides downloaded this to him because of the I Ching references, because of the Western astrological references, because of the chakra references, and because of the tree of life, which is part of the constellation of the body graph. So I have no doubt. But I will tell you, like, I am a 5-1 cross of masks is my profile. Which means that people see me as someone who can solve their problems. And I have to handle a lot of projection onto me. Like, you can solve my problems. Wait, why didn't you solve my problems? That's like the whole dynamic that I'm in as a 5-1. But then that 5th line is the line of charisma and prosperity. So it's like I reflect, or I project a lot of these energies, but then when people don't, I can't solve their problems for them, then there's a lot of projection onto me. And so there's a lot of pitfalls associated with each one of the profiles. And part of what I love about human design, right? Part of what I love about human design is nobody's perfect. Every profile has a gift and a challenge. Every single one. Nobody's got the profile where you're like, I wish I had that profile. Like, you don't want to be me. You don't want to be a 5-1. Everybody's projecting their shit all over me all the time. You don't want that. But there's gifts to it too, right? Yeah, so anyway, you can go down that rabbit hole of all of the different profiles. Maria in our Soul Shift group was kind enough to post a link where you can read about all of the crosses and the specific energies and the specific challenges that each profile faces. And she's right there. So Maria, thank you for posting that. Make sure you can search Maria Pucci, P-U-C-C-I, in the group, and it'll bring you right to her post from this morning. And if you click on it, don't do it now because I want you to be here. But when you go into the group later, search up Maria, and you'll find her post with that link. And it gives a really nice, concise, like 2 or 3 line definition of each one of the types, and I think you'll really enjoy reading all of that. So thank you for Maria for posting that too. That was very helpful. My daughter is a 2-4. No, Zoe's a 4-6, and Nick is a 2-4. Okay, so let's start with projectors. Are you ready? That's right. Well, Lisa, that's a beautiful thing, right? She's like, I want to be me and then learn things from you. That's how everybody should be. I want to be who I am, but then I want to learn some skills and some gifts from each one of you too. Okay, projectors. Each type has a job to do. Projectors are here as the guide in the world. And remind me to tell you, so I made these EO blends that are on sagegoddess.com. I made one for each type because I thought, what a fun way to incorporate essential oils into your practice. I didn't make a lot of them, but if you want a blend that's specific to your type, I made the 4 blends, and we'll talk about them at the end of class tonight. So the guide, the profile, the projector, is labdanum with frankincense. Carteri, if you must know, is a very specific strain of frankincense that I used. So the projectors are here, and the projectors are here to work with the generators. They're very sensitive. They're very aware of energy. Generators are not always the most aware of energy. Projectors are the ones who are keenly aware. Reflectors are aware too, but reflectors are mirroring back to you. So sometimes they're not even aware of what they're mirroring. But the projectors are always aware of the energy. Okay? They can deeply sense authenticity, and they can also sense when someone is not authentic. If a projector is friends with you, loves you, is your student, whatever, that's a high compliment because they're very, very, very particular about people. And it's immediate. I always trust projectors' first instincts, including my son. If my son's like, that person's not a good person, I'm always like, okay. I mean, I just almost always appreciate and receive his intuition because it's usually accurate. Oh, look at that. Athena Max, little Pisces, is a 5-1 generator like me. It's not the best thing. But you know what? Now that you know what it is and all of those things, you can coach around projection and not, the key for a 5-1 is to recognize that people's projections of you aren't always accurate. So not to actually internalize those. Okay, projectors. They want to be recognized, but they do not this is the one thing, like, really hear me on this, okay? Projectors do not initiate. Those are manifestors. Projectors do not build. Those are generators. Okay? Projectors guide. And they wait to be asked. They do not just say, oh, I think you should do this, or oh, I think we should change that. You will never hear that come from a projector. Now, some people see projectors as being kind of passive. I don't. But they give their counsel only when it's requested. But they are so observant, and they're waiting. I mean, they will tell you. If you ask a projector, like, hey, what do you think of that person? They will tell you, but they're not going to be like, that's a bad person. You might look at them and go, well, they look like they're having a good time. Of course they're having a good time, but they are aware of everyone in that room, who's real, who's not real, who's honest, who's not honest. I mean, they have cataloged the whole room, and they're very accurate about it. So that's one of the gifts of a projector. You're a 5-1 projector, Colin? Are you really? So you see everything accurately, and yet everything gets projected back onto you. What's that like? I'm just curious. I mean, you don't have to tell me now, but like, I would like to know. Some projectors don't wait to be asked, but most of the time they hang back. They're not the one who's like involved in all the gossip and they hang back a little bit. They're the keen observers, right? They get very burned out. Here's the thing. You overwork a projector, and you're going to end up with somebody really pissed and bitter and sour and burned out and tired and unwilling to help you. Worst case scenario. Projectors, when you have pushed them too hard for too long, they'll turn into somebody else. And they'll be quite resentful about it. Versus a generator where it's like, nope, give it, take it, I can blah, 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 give it. Like literally with like Energizer Buddy, right? The projectors are not like that. I'm not saying they're delicate, but I'm saying that you have to watch that you don't, especially if you're a generator or a manifesting generator and you have projectors around you, be aware of the conservation of resources that has to happen there. Be sensitive to that. I try not to overwhelm my son because I just know. I mean, he's very smart. He's brilliant. But he cannot do the wheel. He cannot be on. It will wear him out, and he will get cranky and tired and frustrated and resentful. Yeah, so you have to. That's exactly right. So Colin said we don't have the ability to filter everything coming at us, so we have to conserve. You have to conserve your resources, even if that means you put up boundaries and say, you know what, I can't work every day. I can work Monday to Friday from 10 to 3, but that's it. Projectors are the ones who have to like take the weekend off of email and you know what I mean? Like they need time and creativity and play, and they need that because it allows them to replenish those reserves. Because think about it. So much of their energy is going toward the observation. So they're working as hard as everybody else. But a lot of what they're working hard at is understanding everything around them in a way that, like me as a generator, I'm just working. Sometimes I notice everything. Sometimes I don't. I can burrow in and just, like, if you have a project that needs to be done, I am absolutely your best friend ever. But if you need me to do that project while I'm analyzing everybody in a room, that's not going to happen. So you got to give me the project, and you have to give Nick the analysis role. And then the two of us can do our parts for you. It's interesting, right? Okay. When they are flying, projectors are very successful, especially if they have a boss or a partner who understands what's happening there. They're very successful. When they are not in their self, okay, they are bitter, resentful. There's no other way to put it. They really do become resentful, sullen, you know, and the generators can be like, well, what the fuck's wrong with you? And it's like, what's wrong with me is that I'm here trying to analyze every single thing that's happening in this room, and you want me to work 24 hours a day, and I can't do that. And so it's about knowing how to articulate those boundaries in a good way. It's interesting, isn't it? I have quite a few projectors in my life, and I'm really grateful for it because I don't need a lot more manifestors. Even on my team, I need people who, the projectors are the people who see what's going on and are going to tell you, did you know this is happening over here? Did you know that's happening over there? Meanwhile, the generator's like, I had no idea. Thank God for the projectors. They are watching and observing and intuiting, and they're always accurate because that's what they do. They just see with clarity, right? So you have to have projectors, especially, that's why I'm telling you, they were made to work with generators because generators are missing details. They're so busy working that they sometimes are like not even just because they can't, right? They can't see everything all the time. So you have to have that partnership, right? It's really true. Okay. And having a partner, if you're a builder generator and you have a partner who's a projector, that's a blessing and a challenge. Because there's a tendency to see the projectors as being somewhat lazy. They're not lazy, they're conserving their energy. They need that Sunday off. They need that 2-week vacation where nobody bothers them. They need that getting off the grid and not having their cell phone on. They have to have that because that's how they rejuvenate, right? Okay, next on to generator. By the way, projectors are 20% of the population. Interesting, right? 20% of us, 1/5 of us, are paying attention. The rest of us are not. Which makes your job all that much harder. You're having to pay attention for the rest of these fools who are like, I don't know, I missed that. I don't even know what's going on. Right? 20%. And God bless you. Like I said, I couldn't run a company without projectors or reflectors. Couldn't do it. You have to have them. If everybody's working, who's watching? If everybody's working, who's giving you feedback? Because those are your reflectors. Right? You can't do it. Interesting, right? Okay. Generators are pure generators are 36% of the population. Manifesting generators are 34% of the population combined. If you combine them together, because some people do, that's 70%. So 70% of people are here making shit happen, keeping the lights on. I always say my job is to keep the lights on, right? Like I'm here to be the generator, to be the battery. Scout's asking, I'm claiming projector because that resonates so much more than generator for me. I don't know. You'd have to talk to like an expert about whether you can just choose choose one versus what you're allocated based on your birth data. It should be on your job application. I always ask astrological sign. I don't need to know people's birthdays, but I always ask what sign they are because I really try to balance the elements in my organization. Like literally my senior staff is 2 fire, 1 earth, 1 air, 1 water. We are completely balanced. And that's intentional. Okay, so generators are builders. They are here to do 2 things, build and respond. Build, respond. And a generator and a manifesting generator, all of their power, according to the system, comes from the sacral chakra. So if they aren't passionate about it, it's dead in the water. That's what I'm saying. When you see everything that I do with Sage Goddess, and if it makes you dizzy, you're like, I don't even know how she does that, or she never sleeps, or what's going on, like, is that really real? Like, how does she? It's because this is what I love. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't be able to do it. It would be absolutely physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually draining for me. And there have been people who have come in to work here and kind of see how it rolls, and they're like, I can't do this. Like, this is all consuming. It never stops. It never slows down, right? Okay, so we are here to build. We are here to respond. We are sources of sustainable power. You need a project done, it's getting done. You need ideas taken to the finish line, I will finish that ship for you. right? Like, I will take it from here to exactly where it needs to go. A lot of generators, and this is interesting because I feel this way, when a lot of us underplay our power because we attribute it to other sources. Well, it's not me, it's God. Well, it's not me, it's my spirit guides. Well, it's not me, it's this. I do that too. There is some part of us that is self-generating. You know, like sometimes the work of a generator is to take credit, like, well, it was actually me who stayed up all night. Do you know what I mean? Their power resides in the sacral chakra. They magnetize energy to them. And they're responsible for sustaining the planetary life force, generators. So not only are we powering ourselves, we're powering the planet. So again, it's like go, do, create, build, go, do, create, build. You don't get a day off. Sorry, keep going. Go, do, create, build, right? Their passion leads to mastery. They have to love their work. If you have a generator who does not like their job, what happens, the other side of their builder respond profile is they become frustrated. You will end up with an employee who is insolent, who's non-responsive, who's resentful, who, if they don't love what they do, they'll work hard for you, but they will be kind of like silently bitching as they go, because it isn't in their heart, it isn't in their soul. So I hate to tell you, but if you're a generator or a manifesting generator and you don't love your job, you will not hit your stride according to human design until you find something that you love to do. One of the things I'm really passionate about, like when people come to work here, I'm always like, so what do you love most when you're here? Well, I love to roll candles. Okay, well then you should be rolling candles all the time. Well, I love to, put gemstones in the bags and make gem sets. Great, you should be making gem sets all the time. Because my philosophy is if you love what you're doing, you're going to be happier doing it and the energy is going to be better. If it's a slog for you, then you're going to get pissed, and I don't blame you because I understand that very, very well. Alexis. So Alexis is a manifesting generator, and she's in the right role in this organization. So she flies. Like she works hard, but it's like that's just so much a part of who she is. It's really true. She's been, and I'm sure she doesn't mind me telling you this, she's been in other roles in the company because she's been with me for 5.5 years. Where like it wasn't exactly like the perfect place, and it wasn't, she did a great job, but it wasn't like didn't feed her, right? And so then it starts to feel like a job. The minute a generator or a manifesting generator feels like they're working a job, can't feel like a job. It has to feel like a vocation, like a calling, right? So it's really important. And if you are an employer, I would encourage you to think about how you can incorporate human design into your sort of HR, because I think the more you know about how people are, you can get them into roles where they're going to sing and fly, as opposed to roles that are going to constantly create resentment, right? Okay. The next type up is manifesting generator. These people are a hybrid of manifestor and generator. And the difference is they start. They're the engine, they're the sacral engine, just like the generators, but they know how to initiate on top of sustaining. Like I said, they're 34% of the population. A lot of people condense manifesting generators with generators, but the difference between the two is that generators tend not to initiate something or create something new. I'm kind of the anomaly because I created Sage Goddess, but in a traditional scenario, it would have been a manifesting generator who like sort of came up with the concept, and then I would have taken it and run with it and created something with it. Does that make sense? So manifesting generators are those who can initiate and build. They're almost like a one-stop flippin' shop. It gets real lonely, okay? Well, it's a lot of solar plexus, right? And sacral. It gets lonely as a manifesting generator because a lot of times they come up with the idea, they execute on the idea, they build it, they grow it, they love it, they do it, and then they turn around and they're like, wait, why am I doing everything by myself? Right? And they don't have the same, in my experience, the generators tend to attract help to them. And the manifesting generators tend not to. They tend to be sort of like individual contributors, like solo operators. But they almost don't need anybody else too. Do you remember those? I don't even know. It was like in the 50s or 60s where they used to have these musical instruments, and it was like there was a harmonica and a what do you call it? What do you call that thing? It was like 5 instruments in one. It had a drum on it, and it had a harp on it or something, or like a harmonica, and that's what a manifesting generator is. They don't need anybody else to play any other instruments because they're doing all this shit by themselves. Until one day you look around and you're like, why am I doing all this by myself? It's a one-man band. That's exactly right. So the signature of them, in addition to the generators in general, is satisfaction. And again, they can become very frustrated once they realize that they're the only ones playing the song. It's really true. So the blessing is you don't need anybody else. The fucked up thing is you don't need anybody else until you realize that maybe you'd like to have somebody else. Maybe you don't want to work that hard. Maybe it'd be nice to have somebody else playing the drums once in a while. Maybe you'd like to have somebody else who did the harmonica. And then you get resentful, and then everybody around you is like, but you were doing it all by yourself. Why are you resentful? Like, you didn't even want me, right? They get lonely. One of my best friends is a manifesting generator, and I'm a generator, right? So we always have these conversations because she's pretty fluent in human design, and she's like, sometimes she's just like, she'll ask me a question like, what do you think about this? And then she'll say, because I think blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why'd you even ask me what I thought? Like, you just had this whole conversation in your head. Like, I don't even know if you want my opinion. And then she'll be like, well, I don't feel like you're sharing your authentic thoughts with me. And I mean, it happens so often where I'm like, dude, you won't shut up, man. Like, you ask my opinion and then you tell me my opinion. Like, I'm here and I have thoughts, but like, I need you to shut up for 5 minutes so I can like even say anything. You've had the whole conversation. I just sat here and listened to the whole thing. Well, I don't know if you care. Well, really? I mean, give me 2 seconds to care. I haven't even had a minute to care yet. Okay. The manifesting generators too, this is different from generators. So generators tend to kind of need a team in order to even thrive financially, right? Like, I as a generator recognize it takes a whole team to do what I do. I don't do anything by myself. I give my team so much credit. Like, there's a lot that goes on to do what I do. I'm here in front of you right now teaching you, but Claire was here setting up the lighting earlier, and Alexis was making sure I had all I mean, there's a whole team. Manifesting generators literally can and will do everything by themselves, and then turn around and get so frustrated with their life and feel so lonely and so discouraged. And so that's kind of the main hallmark differences. When you're the one starting it and finishing it, you have to figure out what you need in a relationship and start communicating with people before you get so frustrated and resentful that it becomes an argument. Because you have to recognize that the manifesting generators don't always make room for people because you don't need anybody. And meanwhile, the projectors are over there going, looks like you need someone. Looks like you are frustrated. And the manifesting generator is like, shut up. And now do you see why it's so hard to run a Facebook group? You've got manifesting generators who are like, I'm going to post about this, and I'm going to answer my own question. And you've got generators who are like commenting on every single thing, and you got projectors going, I see you, but I'm not going to say anything. And you have reflectors going, I see you, and this is what you said. And I don't know if you even know what you said. And it's like, what is even happening right now? And then somehow we all have to get along and be on the same bus together. Yeah. Something to think about. But now we'll know. Like, and if the people who get irritated the most are the manifesting generators, in my experience. Because the projectors are like, super chill, got this, watching it all. Oh yeah, you over there, what a mess. Oh, look at that person over there. Oh, that's fucked up. Okay. Reflectors. 1% of the population. You are the rarest of the rare. You are so rare. Your job is to discern. And what's interesting about reflectors is they're the one type in human design that is not driven by any of their chakras in particular. They're not driven by creativity. They're not driven by passion. They're not driven by truth. They don't have a particular energy center that drives them. All of their energy centers are open, and their signature is this concept of surprise. Okay, they like to let things kind of unfold because they like the serendipity and the magic of life in this universe, and so they don't overplan. Cue siren, literally just the fire truck just pulled out of the driveway. Took a reflector to cue a siren today. Okay. When they are not themselves, when they're not living authentically, these are people who get so disappointed. I mean, depressed, discouraged, really, really, really can get into really deep, really heavy sadness if they feel blocked in any way. They are, so think of reflector as like reflective, like the moonlight. Like just you bounce off of people. And so you're kind of subject almost to the whims of what's going on the planet and other people's relationships. Like you really almost, you're very ethereal. You bounce in and out of relationships and dynamics. The good thing about reflectors, and part of the reason I love them, is they don't take things too seriously. You know, the manifesting generators, it's like, this is the opposite. They're so serious about everything. And the projectors are like, they're noticing everything, but, you know, and so they're taking it all in, and so they're holding a lot. The reflectors are not. They're just like, I see you, I see that, I reflect that back to you. And what they do for us, in particular, as generators and manifesting generators, is they help us see ourselves accurately. When we're around a reflector, we see ourselves as we truly are. And so what happens sometimes is people don't like what they see in a reflector. And they can bounce that back to the reflector, or the reflector can pick up on that. The number one thing you have to know as a reflector in human design is don't take other people's reflections back to you too personally. Recognize that sometimes a reflection can actually be a projection, and it isn't a reflection back of you, right? They're very accurate. Yeah, who are our reflectors here? Remember, they're 1%. So think of what a small proportion, that's of the entire planetary population. Think of what a small percentage that is of soul shift, right? Woo. Well, so Sharon, are you a reflector? Yeah, so it could be. Reflectors discern. You know, just like generators and manifesting generators are here to initiate and respond and build. The reflectors are here to discern. And they thrive on serendipity. Like they don't need to plan. They don't need to have completely know what's happening in order to get things done. They can kind of jump in and see what's going on and help out. They're very good. They're very good parents. Reflectors. They're a super rare profile, but they're like automatically keyed into whatever's happening, and they can jump in. They need no training, no preparation. All right, here we go. This is what's happening. And then they can, at the same time, they can be showing you where you need to grow and where you need to expand and where you need to go with the flow more. I don't have a lot of reflectors in my life, but again, it's not the dominant profile. But I would say find yourself a good reflector and love her hard, or love him hard, because they are going to be the only ones. They're the only ones who will really show you who you are. The projectors see who you are, But they're not always going to say it. They will when they need to. And projectors are pretty reliable that way. But the reflectors, it's like it's almost all they do. They're like the moon. They're shining light on all those different parts of you. They can trigger you. But if you're really trying to learn and grow, aren't you here to be triggered a little bit? I learn and grow every time I'm triggered. I don't learn a lot when I'm super comfortable. So I kind of search out those opportunities to get poked a little bit. I'm not looking for trouble, but I don't mind it when somebody's like, oh, I don't know if you saw this, but, or I don't know if you like, I kind of like those moments because it gives me a chance to expand just a little bit more. So the numbers, that's one thing I'm not getting into tonight, Denise, because it literally would be another whole at least hour, probably closer to 2 or 3 hours to go through the numbers and the body graphs and all of that. What I'm going to tell you is once you find out what your body graph is and what your numeric profile is, what they call the number lines, literally there are YouTube videos, there are articles, there are books. You can read and watch and listen and find all of that information online. So you probably don't need me to do it for you. But if you found this initial cursory kind of introduction interesting, I encourage you to stay with it. I really do. Because it's a channeled system. It's not scientific. I mean, you can't prove everything that we're talking about here. Remember, something called The Voice downloaded this system to this man in 1987. So this came from the outer realms. But I have found it to be accurate and true and pretty reflective of some of the interesting dynamics that we surround ourselves in. So yeah, if you guys really wanted to do a deeper dive and you wanted to integrate it, we could always build in, like maybe one of the months later in the year, we could do to go through the number lines or to go through basic body graph types and stuff like that. But trust me when I tell you, there's so much information out there. It'll take you months to get to the bottom of it. And then if you want to spend a bunch of money, there are people you can hire to do your chart and all of those things. I leave that to you if you want to use your resources that way. Now, I want to talk about manifestors really quick. My daughter's a pure manifester. She's not a manifesting generator. 9% of the population is a manifester, not a manifesting generator. And this is a very specific type. Can any of you tell me if you are manifestors? Not manifesting generators, pure manifestors. I'm very curious. My daughter is, and I have found, I want to spend a minute on this type because I've found it so accurate for her. I taught her what a manifestor is, and it helped her understand herself. And she's only 10. She's turning 11 in 2 weeks. Are any of you? Okay. And Carla's daughter is also a manifester. Christine's a manifester. Lauren's son is a manifester. Lynn's a manifester. Roxanne's mom is a manifester. Daughter. Okay. So let's talk about it for a minute. I mentioned before that they initiate, right? Like they get things started. And it's true. They really do. Pure manifestors, though, they're not going to finish it. They're going to have the great idea. They're going to have the artistic inspiration. They're going to have the concept. They're going to come up with a great name for that. But they're not going to do what I do. They're not going to execute, take it to the finish line, wrap it up, put a bow on it. They're not here to finish it. Manifestors and generators are really good partners because the manifestor's like, I've got this idea. And the generator's like, great, I'm going to work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to make it happen for you. So it's a really good partnership, okay, as long as you understand each other. If I expect it, so my daughter, and here's the other thing they do. They get real enthusiastic at the beginning of something. So my daughter will be like, oh, I'm so excited to work on my homework tonight. I'm writing a report about whatever, daisies. And it's like, oh, okay, great. And then 15 minutes later, she never wants to do that assignment or talk about that ever again. In fact, half the time she doesn't even remember. And I'll be like, weren't you just working on a project about, and she's like, oh yeah, no, I was, but then now I'm not. Right? And the generator's like, what do you mean you're not working on that anymore? And she's like, I don't know, I was into it for a minute. They're not flighty, but they just like, they get all excited about something and then they need somebody to hand it off to who will, yeah, that's right. The idea is more fun than the action. That's really true. Their signature though, when they are able to create And the other thing I'll tell you about manifestors, do you know what they hate worse than anything? And this is the absolute truth for every manifestor, pure manifestor I know. They do not want anyone telling them what to do. They don't want to be told what to do, how to do it, when to do it, where to do it, or why to do it. If they're going to do it, it's because they thought about it, they started it, and then they gave it to somebody else to do it. They found themselves a nice generator who's going to take that to the finish line. Now, doesn't this make you think about, like, do you remember in school doing group projects? My kids do group projects, and I'm like, remember, in the group project, there's always one person who really gets the work done, the generator. There has to be a manifestor to initiate something. There has to be a projector who's going to, like, understand what's happening in the group and be able to manage the dynamics. There has to be a reflector, who's going to be able to do their, like, everybody has to be there. Okay. Here's the thing. When they're not authentic, they become angry. Manifestors get really mad. I think it's cute when Zoe gets mad. I really do, but she gets super pissed. Like, if she comes up with something and then you expect her to then continue that thing, she gets real pissed. Like, I already came up with that idea. Now you want me to do the whole thing? Like, what are you even talking about, right? I hated group projects too. I hated them because I'm the generator. I got that shit done. I was like, I'll print your shit. I'll write that piece. I'll come up with a title. I will. And then in the meantime, I'm like, what did the rest of you even do? Okay. They don't like to be told what to do. They initiate, but they don't build. And there's one theory out there that I thought was really interesting in human design, that manifestors had past lives where they were either royalty or aristocracy and didn't have to actually do anything. They told their people, like, you do that, and you work, and you bring me things, and you... Sometimes with Zoe, I feel like that, like, I'm kind of her servant who's gonna, like, bring me dinner. There's a little bit of that. And when I heard that, I was like, kind of, do you know what I mean? But I have always felt like it's her world, and I'm kind of like here to serve, but you know what I mean? Like, and now you will take that and do you feel called out right now? Anyway, it's really funny. I'm always like, Zoe, you need, like, staff. I'm not, I'm doing my best over here, but I can only do so much. Maybe they were cats. That's the other thing. If they weren't royalty, they were cats. I love that. But they are here to lead, create, and inform people. But they are not driven by the sacral. These are not people driven by, generators and manifesting generators, we are driven by sexual desire, by cravings. I want it. I need it. I love it. I gotta have it. Like, we're driven by that. Manifestors are not. There's nothing sacral about them. They don't need it. They don't want it. They don't have to have it. They get inspired, and then it's like, now you people go and do something with it. And lucky me, that's my daughter. So she's lucky. She's got generating parents, and then one day she will have to find herself a nice generator partner who will continue to generate for her. And did your generator get broke? No, seriously. I half the time I'm like, who's going to do that for you? That's right. Okay. So, in the perfumes that I made, I wanted to tell you the story of that really quickly. So, there is an oil called labdanum. It originates from Persia. It's also known as cistus or rock rose. The cistus version of labdanum, Labdanum, the cistus version, Cistus, is actually just the flowers of the rock rose plant. The labdanum is a combination of the flowers with the plants and the leaves and the branches. Labdanum is a fixative. It's an ancient oil. It dates back. It's prehistoric, really. Rock rose can grow anywhere in the world. It's wild in all the Middle Eastern countries where it never gets water. It just survives everywhere. It dates back to Mesopotamia. In ancient Rome, only the Caesar could wear labdanum. That's where it got its like biggest reputation. So they used to boil down labdanum from the resin and all of the leaves and the stalks and the flowers, and it literally, like, when you try to pour labdanum, it's like it takes like a minute for a drop to come out, but it lasts forever. I will tell you about these drams. If you don't love the smell, I think you will, because they're really pretty. And labdanum is my second favorite essential oil on the planet after patchouli. It is so sexy. It's an aphrodisiac, but it stays on everything. It stays on your skin. It stays on your clothes. When you get your dram, if you don't love it, don't put it on your clothing, because you can try washing it and everything else. It's going to stay. And the reason that the Caesar wore it in Rome, an ancient Roman civilization, is you could always tell where he was, because you could still smell him after he left. And that's what he wanted. So no one in ancient Rome could wear labdanum except the Caesar. Isn't that interesting? So I took labdanum. So all 4 of the blends have labdanum, because I thought that's like power and presence and sex and everything wrapped up into one. And what's interesting is nobody uses labdanum in perfumes in the US. They only use labdanum in perfumes in the Middle East. It's kind of, like I said, it's a fixative, but it's almost kind of masculine. But I tend to prefer masculine notes. I find them sexier and a little bit dirtier and deeper. I'm not a super feminine perfume person. But there are no women's perfumes in the US, like popular department store, that have labdanum in them. Isn't that interesting? Not one. There are a couple of men's colognes, and Harrods in London has a perfume, a women's perfume that has labdanum in it. But nobody uses it because it's so strong. So these are not cut. The little drams that I made for each one of the types is pure. It's half labdanum and then half the other note. So for projectors, I put frankincense carteri in it. And I put that because frankincense is a master healer. It consecrates sacred space, and it helps you see clearly. It clears, literally, it will clear your sinuses, right? And part of the thing with projectors is they see clearly. So I thought power, healing, and clarity was like the ultimate combination. So the projector blend is labdanum with frankincense carteri. You can take your dram and dilute it. If you added it to oil, it would make about a 4-ounce bottle of regular perfume. If you wanted to dilute it and make it into something, or you could add it to coconut oil or to bath salts or anything that you want to do with it. The generator blend, because it's mine, I did labdanum with champaka flower. It's fucking beautiful. So even if you just want a good perfume. But champaka flower is about, it's the center of power. It's sovereignty. It's stress relief. It's like really just going with the flow and continuing to power that inner battery that we have. So, and I also just literally champaka and labdanum. I had never combined them before. And so I took my little dram home and added it to my patchouli, and that's my new favorite thing. They're all sold out. Are they really sold out? I hate to tease you with things when they're all gone. Alexis, are they all gone? I didn't make that many of them, but there were still some when I went live. So let's double check and just make sure. Really? I'm looking at you, Alexis. So Vanya, that's a great question, by the way. She's asking what's good to dilute it with to make a perfume in order to not change the scent. Only jojoba will not change the scent of your perfume. Sweet almond changes it, olive changes it, blackberry changes it, hemp changes it, avocado changes it, pomegranate seed changes it, sesame changes it. No. See, you guys, they're not gone. Look, she just linked it. You may have been looking at another listing that was sold out, but they were still there when I went live. So Alexis will guide you and help you find that. Jojoba has a minimum 2-year shelf life. The real shelf life of jojoba is more like 4 to 6 years. And by the way, pure essential oils, when they're not diluted, have an infinite shelf life. Labdanum smells better at 10 years than it smells at first distillation. Patchouli, if you buy aged patchouli 20 plus years old aged patchouli, which some places in France have it. It's more than $100 for a dram, but it is the best patchouli on the planet. There's a place in France where you can get 10-year-old patchouli, 20-year-old patchouli, and 30-year-old patchouli. Yeah, rose hip seed oil changes the scent. The only oil that has a long shelf life that will not change the scent, and you can get it anywhere. You can get it at Trader Joe's, you can get it on Amazon, is jojoba. Jojoba actually also, so that you know, mimics the sebum on human skin. Jojoba is actually the same as the natural oils from your face and your hair. So jojoba will never break you out. It does not go rancid. Even at 4 years plus, it's still fine. It's not going to go rancid on you. So all of those, if you have any other oils, sunflower is going to go rancid on you and it's going to change the smell of the perfume. There's literally only jojoba, which is why we use jojoba mostly at Sage Goddess, because it has that incredible shelf life, and it is the closest to human sebum, or the oil that your skin and your hair naturally produces. And if you do use jojoba, always put it in your hair when you're done. Jojoba seals the cuticle of hair. Before I wash my hair, I always put jojoba on the ends, and it will prevent your ends from splitting. So jojoba is just so good for all the different things. And they do. Trader Joe's has jojoba in their skincare aisle. It's more expensive than Amazon, but you know, if you're shopping already. If you're a reflector, I did pure white sage with labdanum, because I figured that is a clearing, because reflectors also clear energy. By shining the light of the moon, they clear everything in their path. But it also brings wisdom and really deep healing, because reflectors are the ones who are helping you see yourself clearly, which is a source of personal and transformational healing. So I did Salvia Appiana with labdanum for the reflector. And then for the manifestors, I did labdanum with cardamom. Because the manifestors are spicy and they're lively and they're active. And because cardamom is a sacral chakra oil, and because the manifestors don't create from their sacral, I thought it would be a good counterbalance between the manifestor energy and the generator energy. So I chose cardamom, and it smells amazing too. You can't go wrong. They're all really beautiful. But I wouldn't choose it based on the scent. I would choose it based on your type. Because what I tried to do was balance out what you need with what you already have, what you're already good at, or what makes you fly, or what makes you sing. They're all really good. I mean, my favorite is the generator, but that's just because those are my two favorite oils other than patchouli on the entire planet. And I secretly just wanted to know what they smelled like together. They're really, really beautiful. But anybody who knows me will tell you that, like, I way overdo it on labdanum and probably smell like a man from the Middle East. But I don't care. I find it sexy as hell, and I love it. What should you choose if you're a hybrid? That's a good question. What are you a hybrid between, Chelsea? Is generator sold out? Oh, it'll be hard for me to make those again for a little while because I'm out of the oils, but when I can, I will. So if something sells out, I won't be able to restock it right away because I don't have more oils to do that. So Christine, Alexis, can you help? I think Christine is asking if you have to be logged in. Do they have to be signed in, Alexis?
Yeah, so
Okay.
they have to be signed into their account,
Okay.
and none of them are sold out.
Okay, nothing is sold
Nothing
out.
is sold out.
Okay, good. Nothing is sold out, but you do have to be signed in because it's for Soul Shift only. Because if I made these available to other people, they would have bought them, and then you wouldn't have them. So you have to go to sagegoddess.com and sign in, and then Alexis says that all of them are still in stock. So the projector type is labdanum and frankincense. The generator is labdanum and champaka, which is that beautiful white flower. If you saw me on Instagram this morning, I showed you the first flower in my garden today. I was so excited. The reflector is labdanum with white sage, and then the manifestor is labdanum with cardamom, which is an aphrodisiac and a beautiful little pod that brings all kinds of sex energy. And I thought that would be a really good one for manifestors because they're the one type that really doesn't create from the sacral. So I thought that would help you compensate there. Labdanum is sexy AF. If you haven't tried it, you're about to fall in love. Truly. I can't live without it. That one of our suppliers told me that they were having trouble sourcing it because in the Middle East, whatever happened over the last year, the rock rose plants weren't producing, and so they were having to cut back on their supply. I hoarded that shit like you would not believe. I was like, nope, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart. I seriously bought, like at that time when that was happening, like a lifetime supply because I was so worried they were going to run out of it. The supply is okay now, but there was a moment because we're all subject to like weather conditions and what happens. But I literally was like, oh no, you didn't. I will buy every drop of that stuff that you have. And what's really cool is to know that you have something that smells exactly like what was used in ancient Rome. Isn't that cool? Okay, I will try. I don't have any more labdanum in the house. I don't have any more champaka in the house. I don't have any more cardamom in the house. I am down to my last little bottle of white sage, and I'm out of frankincense carteri. I have 2 other frankincenses. I have Freriana and I have Neglecta, but I don't have carteri. If I'm like talking mumbo jumbo to you, sorry, but like this is a kind of a technical thing. But so it'll be 4 to 6 weeks once I get my supply back, but we're working on it. Isn't that funny? Yep, that's right. Yeah, so manifesting generator, you can either do the manifesting blend or you can do the generator blend or both. The manifesting generator type is the one type that's sort of a hybrid. And so what I would say is if you feel like you're more generator or you want to be more generator, buy the generator blend. If you feel like you're more manifester, initiating but not completing, or you want to have more of that initiatory energy, then I would go with the manifester blend. And if you can do both and you want to do both, they blend really beautifully, really, really beautifully, because the cardamom with the champaka and the labdanum is insane. So, because the cardamom, the spice of the cardamom sort of gives an edge to the really soft white floral of the champaka. And so it balances it out. So I would do both, or I would ask you to choose which one of those energies you want to play up or expand more or experience more. I am a fucking generator, man. I will tell you. I don't even... like, I'm seriously going to go home. Do you know what I'm doing tonight? I am writing your March Pillars of Priestessing content, and I'm super excited. I started working on it this morning. I've already worked a full day. I had a meeting with my daughter's principal at 8 o'clock this morning, and then I came here and started working. I've been going all day long. I'm going to go home and write your content. I took 10 minutes and 8 nachos today. That was my break. So, but I don't need a break because what I'm doing isn't really work, you know? So that's the key as a generator is you can do anything for as long as you need to do it, as long as you don't think you're working. And I don't think I'm working. Like, this was super fun. There's nowhere else I'd rather be at 5:52 p.m. on a Wednesday. This is class time. So it just never stops. I mean, I do take the weekends off. I think you guys see that. Because my son has baseball, what do they call them? Tournaments because he plays club baseball. So I go to his baseball games every weekend, and so we travel for those games. So I do tend to take the weekends off for the most part. But I'm still online. Like, I'm still in the groups. I'm still paying attention. I'm still looking. So, but I don't see like I would never tell you, oh, I can't help you with that because it's 6 o'clock. Do you know what I mean? Or I would never say, oh, we got to finish class right now because it's 6:02. Like, I don't function like that, but that's a generator. Other profiles, a reflector or projector would be like, it's 6 o'clock. We're done. And I'm over here like, I'm not done yet, right? I did get tired the other night, though. I posted on Facebook. I'm like, I am so tired. I was really drained. So even generators get tired too, but not as much as the other profiles do. We tend to keep going like bunnies. See? And Rachel, right? Makes me want to go back into photography. Never felt like I was working those 10 years. Maybe that's my push. If it's what your soul needs to do, you know, like when I'm in Tucson, it's literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's almost backbreaking, right? I mean, I'm lifting and moving and squatting and alive every 10 minutes, and it's hot and it's dry and we're not eating, and it's like, how do you do it? I love it. I would go back to Tucson today and do it for 10 more days in a heartbeat if I could. You don't need food. You don't need rest. Usually if you're a generator, if you're in that groove, but you start to really become aware of the stuff that you need when it starts to feel like work. And so I would really encourage you, especially if you're a generator or a manifesting generator, try to get closer to what you love, because then you're going to have the stamina to see it through. Right? You're going to have the stamina to see it through. And then, to your point, Athena Mac, if you're not a generator, hire one. Or befriend one or whatever, and just be like, listen, I'm going to give you some shit and you're going to do it. Generator would be like, great, I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to stop till it's done. And that's an incredible partnership when you have somebody who's like, I've got a great idea, and you have somebody who's like, I never get tired. You put those two forces together, it's practically unstoppable, right? Thank you for that, Tanya. What a sweet compliment. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, and it doesn't sound like Athena Mac wants to adopt my daughter anytime soon. Here's my idea, now go and make it so. We get what we need. Do you know what I mean? Like, my kids are such profound teachers to me. And part of me needs to learn from Zoe's, like, go forth and make it happen, everyone. Like, part of me's like, yeah, maybe I should be a little more, like, do my bidding. Thank you for that, Ms. Melissa. I was just going to say, I feel bad because I've kept you for almost 2 hours in a bonus class. Like, I didn't mean to do that, but I really wanted to make sure I got through all the basics, and I feel like I did a pretty good job of getting you through the basics. But like I said, this is by no means exhaustive, and I'm by no means an expert. So thank you for letting me share my take on human design, which is kind of the basics plus a little bit of the magical overlay of it or on it. And then if you want more, you will find endless resources. There's podcasts, there's YouTubes, I haven't watched or listened to a whole lot of it because some of the people who do that stuff kind of, I have a hard time listening to them sometimes. But there are some good folks doing some work out there on it. And one of the things, like, if you find out what your number line profile and stuff is, then you can really start to drill down into those particular pieces, and you might find that really interesting. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's a great question. Siren of the Void asked, how much should I be concerned about physical needs as a manifesting generator? I think you should watch your stamina. What I've noticed as a generator is I have to really think about my diet. I can't eat too much before I have to work because then I get tired. And because I have to maintain my stamina, I do better with like little bits of food. I almost eat like a bird sometimes. Like, I'll have like a couple chips, and then I'll have half a sandwich, and then I'll have a banana, and then later I'll have an avocado. Because if I sit down and just have a huge, massive meal, I almost pass out. Versus like other signs or other profiles can have a big meal and not get super tired. But I have to kind of pick and graze just a little bit here and there, really small sometimes, to maintain kind of an even flow of energy. So think about this even as it pertains to your energy. And then I do intermittent fasting, which helps me a lot too. So I only eat within an 8-hour window. So if I start at 8, I end at, is that 4? I don't eat after 4, or if I start at noon, then I don't eat after 8, but I only eat within an 8-hour window. And that's also really good for managing your energy too. So it depends on what profile you have and how you want to maintain your energy levels. Like, if I went home and ate a whole bunch right now, I wouldn't be able to keep working. I would get tired and have to lay down. Are you a picker too? Yeah, I'm a picker, and like half an avocado is a meal. You know what I mean? Or like I'll eat a banana and that's it for me for 3 or 4 hours. Or I have an egg every morning, kind of religiously. So it's like my meals are small and usually a lot of fat. I try to get a lot of fat into every meal, which also helps me kind of go for, a couple of hours. I'll have a few chips with some guacamole, which is good for protein. So, and some cheese and crackers sometimes is really good for me too. But anyway, you got to find your formula, what works for you. That's right. If you're going to graze though, and you're trying to lose weight, you just graze within 8 hours though. Because if you graze if you graze 12 or 15 hours a day, your body never gets a chance to burn fat. And that's why it's hard to lose weight. So you can graze all you want, but you got to cut it off because you got to give your body a time to, but like I can't do keto. I have to have carbs. for my particular body type and my Ayurvedic type and everything in me, I've tried to do keto and Atkins and stuff. I can't do it. I have to have carbohydrates. But I can have carbohydrates the way I do it and not gain weight. So it just depends. It's all about moderation. And then for me, intermittent fasting is kind of the key. Yeah, the champaka is absolute, Tanya. It's pure absolute. It's something like $1,100 a kilogram, the champaka that I use. It is absolutely pure and intoxicating, which is part of the reason why I'm out of stock of it right now. But those essential oils and those blends are all pure and natural. The labdanum is uncut. It's thick and syrupy and resinous. You're gonna love it so much. It'll change your life. All right, you guys, have a great rest of your night. I'm gonna go send Alexis off on her way, and we will look forward to seeing you. I'm sure I'll see you tomorrow or Friday. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. So the blends are there. Make sure you're signed in if you want one. They're optional. You don't have to have a blend. The code is 18 March until midnight tonight if you want anything. And I'm really glad we were here tonight together. I hope it was helpful for you. And I'll see you soon. Thank you, you guys. And thanks for indulging me while I talked about the group stuff at the beginning too. I hope that was helpful just to kind of hear my perspective. I was trying to post stuff and write stuff, and it's you know what? It warrants a conversation. So thanks for hearing me on that too. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Have a great night.